As a fan of Art Nouveau, Alphonse Mucha is an artist I find quite inspiring. I'm not trying to exactly replicate his style, but I definitely take a lot from him. But with this drawing of Éowyn, I might be emulating his style even more than usual. Though of course, I still want my own artistic quirks to shine through. Now, lovely people, welcome to Laurelin Artistry, where I draw and talk about the things I love. After sketching out Éowyn, I give the drawing a more solid outline. I have so much fun with the hair on drawings like this. All those swirls and wavy lines, it's very satisfying when it turns out well. This drawing of Éowyn is based a decent bit on the version from Peter Jackson's trilogy, with some creative liberties of my own taken here and there. As I've said before, it's difficult for me not to borrow a lot from the film's aesthetics, not just because I grew up on them, but because I just love them so much. So it's often hard to think of anything better in my head. I finish off my outlining by giving her a circlet. And now onto coloring her pale golden hair. Then her headpiece and other golden details. And all the rest of her. This is actually only half of a drawing I was planning to do with Éowyn and Arwen, contrasting gold with silver. I just ran out of time to do the whole thing this week. Zoom in and add some hatching, as well as a few details like freckles to our Shieldmaiden. It's possible I'll just end up doing all 4 of the Lord of the Rings ladies in this style. I mean, I could also just do the whole fellowship. That would be fun. Although I always have more ideas than I have time to do them, so no promises. Hatching creates a nice effect if done well, but I find it can be a rather time-consuming shading technique at times, especially when done digitally. Now for the hair, I create a bunch of swirling lines to give it a fun, flowing effect. I color in some of the sections that created with different shades, sort of like I've done on previous drawings where I wanted a bit of a stained glass effect. Now I continue that all the way down the hair. I think Éowyn is a very fascinating character to look at. She's a character who has never really known a time of peace, and in a time of war, what seems more valuable than a valiant warrior? She has begun to despair, and in that hopelessness is blinded to the value of anything but the glory of death in battle. She shuns her noble duty of leading the people in the king's absence, seeing it as being stuck in a cage awaiting her demise. Now I add some hatching to the hair. I think there is a very real aspect of being overlooked in Éowyn's unhappiness, that the mundanity and thanklessness of tasks she often performed were unintentionally underappreciated, which led to her seeing no value in them herself. Instead, they just felt like something she wanted to free herself from. She just couldn't see or appreciate their importance. No, at the same time, there certainly was still value in her fighting. It isn't such a black and white instance. After all, she had an important role to play. I finished that, and then airbrush in some shading and highlight. It already looked pretty good as is, and I probably could have saved time by keeping it simple. But alas, I decided to go the more detailed route. I airbrush the face, but want to keep the shading fairly soft and understated on the skin. Layering very low opacity coloring, a little bit at a time to achieve that effect. I also wanted her expression to be somber, but with a strength and almost hardness to it, as if a hardy flower that survived many a frost. Now, onto her raiment. Éowyn, as I mentioned, though she abandoned her duty and was blinded by despair, is also not framed as being entirely in the wrong. After all, she brings Mary with her, and if they had not both been present, the Witch King would not have been defeated, and things could have gone all the worse. I don't think we're supposed to be entirely of one mind as to whether she was in the right or wrong completely on this decision, but either way, it was used providentially as a small step in Sauron's defeat. and it also brought her and Faramir together, which is of course the most important thing. Next, I draw some subtle, more solid-edged shading. It is very subtle, so it's not the easiest to see where I'm drawing. I apologize for that. Also shade in her hilt and such. And the blade. Outline her with a slightly darker and thicker line. And time to work on our background. As I had said, very Art Nouveau inspired, so we've got some circles and a border. And then I draw a little symmetrical horse design at the top to symbolize Rohan. Now to color things in. We've got brown on the outside and kind of a grayish blue in the circle. Then add in some shading and texture to all of that. Now I was teasing a bit when I said that meeting Faramir was the most important thing, but there is some truth to that for Éowyn. She's quite broken when she meets the now Steward of Gondor, who has been through much sorrow of his own. Through her talks with Faramir, she starts to slowly discover that she has much to live for, not simply to die for. She discovers she wants to live and surround herself with life and growing things. Now I draw a fancy sun pattern inside the circle. But yeah, Faramir helps her find beauty and joy in life. And I absolutely adore that little love story in the Steward and the King chapter in Return of the King. It not only shows the healing of two characters who have been through so much, and gives them a very satisfying, happy ending, but I feel it provides such warmth and comfort to the reader as well. At least if that reader is me. I can't speak for everyone. But oh, it just makes me so happy. I zoom out and adjust some coloring before making the outline around the character a bit more bold in places. Add a bit more of a pattern around the sun in order to fill the circle. And for one of my final touches, I add some flowers to the top corners. I make them white like those flowers that are in Rohan with the name I can't pronounce. I add in a little shading to those. Blend it into the background a tad, and then I add a strip of gray just around the border. Brighten the hair, and we are done. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed my art piece and commentary as well. Join me next time if you want to see me draw the other half of this drawing. In the meantime, remember, next time you go into battle, bring a hobbit with you. He might come in handy. Ciao!